the love that he gave us?
Oh, yes, I was rocking steady with an author, activist, student mentor, life coach, and empowerment speaker. She was raised right here in San Antonio, Texas. I'm talking about none other than Sharon Bennett. We were doing it live on KROVFM.com on Rhema Gospel Express. Coming up next.
Who said that we can't get along? Let's get it right, let's fix the wrong by knocking down every wall. That way of thinking that divides us all. Where is the love that he gave us?
San Antonio, this is the place where you ought to be right now, on the air with me. Woo, she's anointed. She's a visionary. Can I say that about you?
You can.
We're talking to the one and only Sharon Bennett. Kind of raised here in San Antonio, left out of the city for a little while, but she is doing great and mighty things. I'd like to say good morning to you, Sharon.
Good morning, Elder. How are you today?
Oh, bless. I am, as I was touched, going through Facebook, and I saw her, I'm like, oh, she's from San Antonio, and still trying to figure out, how do I know you? Where did we cross paths at? But one thing we came in common with, both of us knew Mel Waiters.
We did. Yes, he was something else. Yes, he was a friend, definitely.
Yeah. Well, we're going to jump right into this because you have a business, and it's encouraging ones. Let's talk about your business.
All right. Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate that, showing the love. I'm an empowerment speaker and an author.
Okay.
And the empowerment speaker is surrounding women's empowerment, whereby I build self-confidence, self-love, and self-esteem. Because one of my beliefs is, if we strengthen the woman and her inner being, she thereby strengthens her family. And when you have stronger families, you have stronger communities. So we want to build up our communities again to where we're looking out for each other, loving on each other, and taking care of each other. We seem to have lost that over the years. And so that's one of my inner beliefs and passions.
Okay. Now I'm gonna come to you as if though that we never knew each other, because you have some men that are having problems because of women taking control. Women want to be in control in the household. How do you deal with that?
Well, as far as the household, women do care for the household. They're the initial and primary caregiver of the children. Now, as far as relationships go, marriage, the man is the head, the woman is the neck, but they're supposed to support and care for each other and respect each other. Okay? So it's not just her being submissive to him, he also submits to her, as it says in the Bible. It's a give and take. So when you get headstrong and you believe that you're the only one and you know everything better than anyone else, that's when you run into problems. That gets a little further than what I go into. And you need probably counseling and prayer, because that is a dangerous thing to have. Okay? We all have our gifts and our strengths, and we need to rely on the other for that gift and that strength.
Okay. So working together.
Work together.
Talk together, or to each other.
Communicate. And when you communicate, what does that mean? Because you have, what, 2 ears and 1 mouth?
Okay.
So you're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk?
Uh-oh.
I said, uh-oh. He said,
uh-oh.
Just saying.
Okay. Now, let's talk about the single women and single men.
Well, that's a dating phase. So you're learning about each other. You're taking time. And something I've noticed with the change of times today, people are taking it way too fast. Like this online dating. And they're doing things online that they should not be, giving of themselves that is supposed to be done in marriage. Okay, and once you put something out there online, you can't take it back. There's the showing of the body. Well, what has that person done to earn that right to see you like that?
Okay. Now, when you... Go ahead.
So I'm just telling them they need to stop that. It needs to be all about talking and really getting to know the real person. And then you have to spend time around that person, because you cannot truly know that person long distance or online. Anybody can be nice for a few minutes or a weekend, but you don't really know them, and sometimes you won't until you marry them and move in with them. Then the real person comes out.
Now, you're talking about catfish?
Ooh, I've heard that. Yes, that's a lot of what that is. And a lot of that is people out of the country and then start taking your money.
Okay.
But what I'm talking about is actual people communicating online and sending videos and pictures of themselves in uncompromising situations. I don't know how to say that nicely.
Okay.
In ways that they should not be doing yet.
Okay. Now, you spoke of taking things a little too fast.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have a lot of people that act like they married. They together like they married, but they not married. How do you talk to the young ladies about that?
I'll go Tyler Perry on them. You have no deed and no paper.
Okay.
You have nothing. Stop giving up the milk. Why would the man buy the cow if he can get the milk for free?
Come on.
If you give everything like that is your intended husband, why would he marry you? Now, on that same token, let's think about this. Going back many moons, there was no courthouse to get married in. The head of that family, which was the father or the grandfather, agreed with the other, where they entrusted their children to be married. And then in a tribal ceremony, they were married, a ribbon was wrapped around their wrist or whatever. The courthouse thing comes later, and they for money, and you got to buy this certificate and all that. Okay, so your marriage is mind, spirit, and soul. But if you just doing it and shacking up and there's no real commitment and you just going to walk away, what's the point? That's where you get more into broken families, which Elder goes a little further. That's what I mentioned, but yeah, when I feel they need more help, then I do refer them for deeper counseling. Mm-hmm.
Okay. San Antonio, global listeners, we're talking to Sharon Bennett. She has a business. She is she empowers young ladies. She empowers ones to be true. First of all, to be true to themselves. ShoeFetishMovement.com is her website.
Correct.
Okay. Now, let's go back a few years, because you were here in San Antonio. Let's talk a little bit about your father. Okay. Share with us about your father.
All right. Reverend Dr. Ellie Bennett, my father, my hero, my heart. Miss him dearly. Dad's a very busy man. He was always active in the community. And so that touches on my book, which is currently now seeking publishing through my agent. So Daddy was active in the civil rights movement. And in the 1960s, he integrated Southwestern Bell AT&T. And it was not an easy task at all. He was very inspired when he came back from the Army, when he saw JFK speak in front of the Alamo there in San Antonio when he was running for president.
Okay.
And that was very encouraging, and he was also encouraged by Martin Luther King. But when JFK said, you have to do something, Don't keep asking what the country can do for you, and you've heard this line, but what you can do for your country. And he felt that he needed to step forward because at that time, people of color had to have permission, get this permission to apply for a job over janitor or mechanic, housekeeping service. We were not allowed to apply for jobs like that, even if we had more knowledge and education than the white man. Okay? So this was the task he was up against. And so he ran for the president of what they called at that time the Colored People's Union. And he won. He went from president of the Colored People's Union to being able to get a craft job to second line management right under the vice president of the company, where he was over 5 districts. Okay. So there's a lot more to that. Kind of got run out of town in Kansas City from the annual conference, but he was very vocal, and he made a lot of changes and made it possible for people of color to rise above and get the jobs that they have today and be in management.
So he helped lay the foundation, can I say, here in San Antonio for us blacks.
He did. He actually did. A lot of meetings, a lot of negative comments and back talking. He helped people register to vote for the NAACP. He would educate them on voting and on the answers. He went with some people to register to vote. He would drive from Laredo, San Antonio, Corpus Christi, Houston, Texas. He helped get the first black operators going with the company, which they started in Houston, Texas. So he was doing all of that. He designed and picked the spot for the first tech education center for the phone company, which during that time was AT&T. So it went back between Southwestern Bell and AT&T for a long time, early 60s, and back again to Southwestern Bell and AT&T. So with both companies, yes.
Okay.
That was
now and by him taking the steps that he wasn't always paid.
Oh, no. Paid? No. Not at all. And imagine this. He was taking a big risk. He was sacrificing himself. But not only himself, his family, us. Okay, because he was putting himself out there on the line. And the response was not always positive, as you can imagine. It was negative sometimes. And at any time, he could have lost his job. He could have put us in physical danger, but thank God that didn't happen, at least for us. But the stressors that a person experiences during the civil rights movement and as the leader of that for that time in his area, those stressors come home sometimes. But he was very, very involved, an eloquent speaker, and one of the things he demanded when they went to meet with the upper management demanding equal rights was that they dress and be impeccable. And so they would bring their suits to work and change before the meetings. Because, janitors don't wear suits when they're cleaning up.
Right.
They would change before the meetings and get to the meetings early, like 15 minutes early. These men would come in late, smoking cigarettes. They'd have chilled ice water on the table and never offer Dad, his VP, or the Sergeant of Arms anything.
Wow. But he stood his ground.
Stood his ground. Stood his ground. One of the men said, I have trouble understanding how it is white people are expected to work next to coloreds. And they said the other word, actually, the N word, through the day. I mean, the colored people might get upset and they might not behave appropriately. My father explained to him, I have trouble understanding why you think that when we've been working by white folks all our lives. My parents and sharecropping. You invite a woman into your house to clean it and take care of your children. You're not worried then. You have a black man cut your grass and take care of your car. You're not worried then. But you're worried about them working when they're making money and earning a living, and you think they're going to act up then? I have trouble understanding that.
And all of that went on right here in San Antonio.
Right there in San Antonio. Yes, sir. Right there in San Antonio.
Young people, and some of us older people, we don't really know how blessed we are.
Don't.
Okay. Now, let's go back to you, Sharon. What is it that you would like for our listening artists to know?
I would like them to know that the civil rights movement is still going on. This is like the second rush of it, and it's very important to be involved. You need to start grassroots. You need to be aware of who's working in your community and vote for those that have the same interest as you do in improving your community, because that's where it starts. It doesn't start at the president. It starts in your community. Those city council people, going up to the mayor, going up to your senators. You have to vote, because when you get the right people in office, they will look after your interest. Okay, and we need to control the House and the Senate. A vote does matter. Any of those who think it doesn't, you're so wrong. You're so wrong. I suggest you get educated and learn more about it. It's not just the fact that the people in the 60s sacrificed for you to have this right, and we were the only people that had to have permission to vote, a bill to vote. No one else did. Do you know that?
Come on.
And that was just knocked down in 2019, thank God to John Lewis and some others in the Senate. But it is very important to vote, and I want you to know that my father was part of that, part of enacting our equality and our civil rights. And so his book will be coming out soon. I want you to look for it, and I'll let you know at that time. So support us. You can go to SharonKBennett.com and read a little bit about it and a little bit about me.
Okay. I really thank you for spending this time with us. And before we leave, do you have any shout-outs that you would like to give?
Shout out to Sam Houston High School, class of 75, my peeps, my family. Shout out to the Bennett, Taylor, Barnes family. I love you guys. This is their uncle. This is family. So it's a wonderful history. Oh, and we do have our history all the way back to the first person that was kidnapped in Africa. Yeah. So got a lot of history in the book as well. Thank you so much for having me.
You're quite welcome. And we'll be still talking soon in the near future.
Oh, Elder Lockhart?
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to my mother and our queen, Essie Bennett. Love you.
Love you, mother. Amen. We've been talking to Sharon Bennett. And Sharon, you're in Atlanta now? Where are you?
Correct. Mm-hmm.
In Atlanta. And she makes her visit. Now, next time you come to San Antonio, be sure to let me know so we can have you here live.
Oh, wonderful. As soon as they let me out of here because of Corona, I will do that.
Right. Okay. And we'll talk with you soon.
Thank you so much, Elder. Bye.
You're welcome. Be blessed.
Where is the love that he gave us? Where is the love that he gave us? He did not make the world this way.
Mass confusion everywhere. It's enough, why can't we share? There's no place for all this hate. Stop it now, don't hesitate. Who said that we can't get along? Let's get it right, let's fix the wrong. By knocking down every wall. That way of thinking that divides us all.